And I'm back with more Tales of Arise. We're here in the Gilanne Woods. Or, Gilanne? Yeah, Gilanne. And we're going to follow a black kitty that was doing a thing and being suspicious, like a messenger. Last time I talked about Dohalim and his voice actor. This time I'll talk about Kisara's voice actress. Caitlin Galt, who is not in as much stuff, or at least not too much stuff that I know, but well, that's weird. Butterflies like stuff from Final Fantasy X. But Caitlin Galt I know from The Rising of Shield Hero. She's been nice queen lady. I remember her because Shield Hero used to be really fucking good until the second season. And she was a badass queen, which is great. So her voice actress being Kisara makes total sense. But yes. And as I've said before, this is one of the reasons that I'm not really a big dub versus sub guy. I don't know how they do it in Japan, but I know in America at least, a lot of video games use anime voice acting or have the same ADR directors and people. It's like a in the know business. And if you're AAA, you'll have a higher budget to get better actors and whatever. And I'm not gonna go nuts over the whole Helena Taylor thing. Maybe in the span of the conversation. But if that's a dungeon rant, that's fair. But it is a good time to discuss that because I've still, after a long time, heard the whole dubs versus sub debate, and I'm annoyed by it, mostly just because people won't shut the fuck up about it. It's one of those things that if you like subs, you like subs, but don't hate us if we don't really have a choice. Because I've talked about my vision level before. That wasn't the reason I started watching dubbed shows, by the way. It's because I'm in English, and I said this in the first episode. But I also do feel... That's strange. Looked like a... It's a lamp, but it looks like a kid somehow. Or like a doll. It's shaped weird. But I've watched dub shows for 25 years at this point.
But give them enough
And
time and trees can get pretty
I
big on their
was
own
never
without
privy
any
to the,
extra
oh my
help.
god, the internet, this is so bad, this is so dumb, this is... No, it's not dumb. It's a different style of working as an actor. And I've talked to some of the actors and some of the stuff, like Jeremy Lee, she would say, you're not a voice actor. You're an actor because you have to be adaptable, because the way to do a video game is going to be different than doing an anime show. And I think Paul St. Peter, who is Sahad in Final East 8, said the same thing. He doesn't consider himself a voice actor. And the reason I constantly bring this stuff up or make a point about it is because I don't think that dub actors even now get the respect or the monetary compensation that they deserve. Whether or not you believe that it's a harder job than, say, the native language. No, it's not. But you're still tasked with, hey, read a line, but you're supposed to translate the line to do it right. And in the thrust of anime, not so much video games, you have the problem of syncing up, so you have that whole mess that you have to do. Most actors do it by themselves, so you don't have the American voice actors doing, say, Simpsons or Family Guy. A lot of the main cast are in the room at the same time. So they have their own way of doing things, and they can bounce off each other. As you saw with Lee and myself, the way I talk in a Final Fantasy playthrough is going to be different than the way I talk in this. Because I'm by myself. I have to focus more on explaining things if I want to, and these dungeon rants are part of it. But take, for instance, some of these actors. Like, I see this all the time on the internet, and mostly by trolls. The idea that these are actors that don't know what the fuck they're doing. They are not good actors. Well, how do you quantify what is a good or bad actor? How do you quantify whether it's their reason or if it's, say, grating to listen to? We're different people. We like different things. I tend to believe that stuff like Persona is the gold standard. Stuff like Cowboy Bebop is the gold standard. Something like this is on the higher end of the scale because I think the nicest thing people have ever said, and I may have said this before, is that the ceiling for voice acting has gotten lower, but the floor has gone up. But that's still a demeaning thing to say to these people that are trying to make a living. These are professional people making a living, making actors. But are they all good? No. Are all Japanese actors good? No. I don't know that, so I don't bitch about them.
Don't want to fall here. Yeah.
But I'm not going to go on the internet and make a stink and when everybody has to say, hey, what dubs do you like? Do you like this actor? Do you like this actor? There's always this, like, weird conception that you have to judge a thing. It's like, don't judge me for liking dubs, you know? Like, don't argue, please. You know, it's like, why? Why is that a thing? Like, some of these people, including Bryce Papenbrook, who's law, have done this for 20 years. And you may not like people like, say, Kirito or whatever as characters, but I like him as Adol. I like him as Law. I've liked him as a lot of things. Is he my favorite actor? No.
Looks like
Are any of these people my favorites? No. I'd say the closest would be Erika Lindbeck, who did Shion, but because she's been Futaba and Jessie. But again, I'm judging that on experience. Everything I felt that these people have been in, they've done very well. If you don't like that, that's your prerogative. But to have a blanket statement and just say, no, dubs are dumb and you are dumb for liking them and you shouldn't like them because that's whatever, is kind of the same fostering of hatred and bullshit that we have with Dark Souls and easy modes and all the other weird bullshit. So I get annoyed, maybe a little too much, I think, when this crops up in discussions on Twitch. Really, the only times I've ever felt like a thing was a total distraction was something like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I've said this before. It's not that the actors themselves, on occasion, like, say, Succubus, I felt were annoying, but I wasn't, like, perturbed by the whole thing because you still had Robert Belgrade as Alucard, and Death was good, and Richter was all-right, and, of course, Dracula was good. Mostly people kind of laugh off the game as just a joke, you know. I think I win. But we're not in most, like, you'll see, I think, here's a problem with percentages, right? The people who want to say that dubs are terrible, what are you basing that on? Are you basing it on how they're talking? Are you basing that on how they were directed? Which most actors and ADR directors have said that's their fault. This goes back to Final Fantasy X. A lot of people hate Final Fantasy X's voice acting. It's not as bad as people think. Because of the meme. Everybody thinks it's meme. John DiMaggio was on that cast. Fucking Bender. And Waka may not be his best character, but are you going to sit there and tell me that John DiMaggio is a bad voice actor? Or doesn't know what he's doing after 25 to 30 years in the business? Are you saying you want Hollywood voice actors or Hollywood actors to play every role? We've seen what happens when Kiefer Sutherland, Daisy Ridley, and others were tasked with games. I'm not saying every actor can't be a voice actor in a video game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, oh, Western games get away with it because they're no, it's not a Western versus Japanese thing. It's the actors and the direction and what they're chosen to do. I play these games all the time, and you almost never hear me bitching about a character because they sound like shit. there is like 1 or 2 or 3 actors in my life, and I'm not going to name them, that I've ever said might not be my favorite, or might annoy me if I hear them, or, you know, or maybe it's the lower scale games.
Like we're gonna
I
lose
mean,
to small
if I don't know, what is it? The weirder games on the lower end of the spectrum, like, oh god, Neptunia maybe. Again, I'm not trying to name actors or name games, but it goes back to that. Neptunia, okay, that one might not work, but that's Neptunia versus Persona, SMT, Tales of Arise, Final Fantasy VII R, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Dragon Quest 8, 11, you name it. There are countless games and anime that I've sat and watched and never raised a stink over just because they're dumb, you suck. So, and note, most of these same actors can be heard in,
Maybe it's time I try on something new.
some of these same actors can be heard in, like, really well-loved shows, like, again, Bebop, Persona, Bebop, and Naruto, and One Piece, and whatever, Phoenix Wright, Konosuba. Nobody sits there, and again, a lot of the time when you see the dub version, or see the sub version, it's, oh my god, this dub actor is actually really good, I might like this show. You see where I'm getting at. You see what I'm getting at. There's that stigma. It's like women trying to do anything and anything ever, right? And there's this, like, it's just this weird bias. And to steer off this discussion a little bit, that also has to do with who is talking. Oh, who is the one talking? I remember watching a couple of videos recently. What was it? Matt Pat from Game Theory and Movie Bob from Big Picture. They were talking about the Twitter thing, which I'm not going to get into because the Twitter thing is dumb and people who are using it are part of the problem. So I need to go down this way. If you like using Twitter and social media, that's your thing.
Everywhere you look, it's nothing but green, green, and more green.
Just like Calaglia.
But
Rocks and more rocks.
I remember a report on both episodes, so they were kind of coordinating, that 5% of people in the world, give or take, have a Twitter account or a form of social media. Maybe Facebook has like 10 or 15. But think what that says. Think what that says about people who are talking. And you have to remember that there are people like me who usually don't try to be dicks to people. Unless there is an issue like this, which always seems to bug me because it never shuts up after... You have to remember, 25 years of this shit. 25 years of voice acting in games, and most of the time in Japanese games, right? That's what I've dealt with. So, the people that talk about that, or the people who talk about...
Judging by the stench...
no Final Fantasy games, or whatever, it's, the people causing a stink, or causing a stir, are a very, very low majority of the minority that exists. My main issue is that you should like what you like, and if you want to discuss a thing, try to do what I'm doing, discuss a thing. Having an inborn judgment of things is what leads to things like racism and politics. And you'll note that in most cases I don't really get into those things because I'm so focused on this that I don't really have time to give a fuck what other people think. People are people, and if you're stupid, you're stupid. I myself am stupid at times. I say stupid shit sometimes, and I try not to. It happens. But to have an ingrained bias just because you like a thing and you think everybody should like the same thing you like, no. Lee and I don't like the same things. That doesn't mean that I'm not receptive to what she says. I mean, she has to put up with my stupid ass playing Final Fantasy. I bet that's not easy for her. And it doesn't help that my internet sucks. But she doesn't hold that against me as far as I know, because if she were, we wouldn't be doing the thing. But we have games we like, and we have things that we... That's why we're people! Right? People are people. But when you have ingrained biases, it does kind of ruin the experience for other people, even in a subtle way. Like, if you want to say the game doesn't perform well, doesn't have doesn't have this or that thing. The thing I'm trying to get across is that if you're a logical person who tries to discuss a thing, that's fine. If it were me, sure, I would like to be able to listen to subs and get the other interpretation. And maybe I would understand that, yeah, other people from other countries are not going to understand the English voice acting, so they may have a bias against it. That's totally fair. English speaking is not everything. That's fair. But from my perspective, I think dubs get a bad rap from a very, very, very minuscule vocal minority that infects everybody else's line of thinking. If that's not the case, that's true. It's the same people that say, oh, you suck because you want the easy modes in Dark Souls or whatever. I don't really care because I don't play Dark Souls. But to chastise a game for it, or an actor, unless they are a bad apple, like in the case of the Helena Taylor situation, sure. Dogpiling on Jennifer Hale was a terrible move. Sending death threats to Laura Bailey for performing as Abby in Last of Us 2. Death threats to the actor for reciting roles that she was. You can see why I'm a little like, dude, calm your tits. So, if you have a reason to not like a thing, try to do it in a manner that isn't so angry. That's part of the reason I have a podcast, is because I don't want to bitch about a game all the time if I don't like it. I'll bitch about it once, and then I'll have my case, and then I will say, okay, this is why. If you have a reason why you don't... This game isn't perfect. This game isn't perfect. That's fine. But I'm not going to sit there and say it's every reason I don't like the game ever. So, I think that's mostly it. If you have a reason for not liking a thing, don't like a thing. But at least don't come across like you're an angsty person who is jumping down people's throats. I don't have that on Reddit as much, but I have seen toxicity other places. Absolute toxicity is terrible, and that's really what I want to avoid in most cases, because those people are ruining it for others who just want to enjoy a time. If you want a thing, do a thing. My thought process is you should have an access to everything. So if you want an English voice acting and you want good subtitles so that I can see it, that's my personal preference. If you want Japanese subtitles, you should be allowed to have that. If you want an easy version, you should have an easy version. If you have whatever, you should have that. So that is kind of the answer. I know I was beating around the bush as part of a dungeon rant kind of thing, but I do think it's important every once in a while to have those discussions so that people understand that I'm a bit of an idiot sometimes, but I don't like it when people are toxic. I really fucking don't. There's a difference between being toxic and trying to discuss a thing reasonably.
Like an invasive species. Not that I'm surprised. Calaglia's all dry and Cyslodia is...
Watch out!
Oops.
What the hell? Is that a Zoogle?
That thing is huge! Everyone, be careful!
Of course. Well, this is why I have the resurrection spell.
Why can't these dumb plants just keep to themselves?
Okay, so yeah, plan is to shoot the thing.
Yeah, I got you.
Watch it. The enemy is over there.
Ow.
I'll finish you here and now.
handle this. One more. I'm only getting.
Damn it!
Ow, you hit me.
Hit the main body.
Let's start by taking out the tentacles.
Dragon shell. Shattering
Go
light
to the
pieces.
Air thrust. Explode. Photon. Lightning condensed.
Rising focus. We got the advantage.
Good. Now we just have to make sure we keep it.
Don't worry,
Here I
because
go.
Law's
I
on it.
never fix.
Rising
Dance in the
water.
wind. And again. Air
You're
thrust.
mine.
Ow. Shut up, phone.
There. Air thrust.
I'll bring you back from death.
I-
I'll heal you all. Air thrust.
Healing circle.
Okay, at least I can cancel. Okay, good. I'm able to cancel out my problem now.
Dance in the wind.
Or did I?
I love it.
Here, let me help.
First aid. One last raging cascade. Dance in the wind.
Almost there.
I do.
Or close enough. Take it away, Law.
I thought you'd never ask.
Excited.
I'll smash you.
Not today.
Take photons. Go.
These little ones are hardly worth our time.
Less talking and more pummeling.
Cut them apart to your heart's content.
It's over. Dance in the wind.
Rising wyvern.
Here I go.
And again. Dance excited. Go.
Rising falcon. Glimmer dragon.
Time to burn.
Got him. That wasn't so bad, was it? Nice, easy boss. Need those every once in a while. Could also be that I did some of the hunts off camera, but
Everyone okay?
I'm starting to get that it's a trap feeling again, guys.
We'll just pray you're wrong. Hey, there's that cat.
Looks like it's not done leading us yet.
uh-oh. Calves of steel. Okay. Anyway, I need arts casting mobility. Love it.
Check out these biceps. Pretty glorious, right?
Why are guys so obsessed with their muscles?
Because these puppies have yet to let me down.
Good on you, Law.
Should we really be lighting a campfire in the middle of a forest?
You scared of starting a fire? As long as we put it out thoroughly afterwards, we'll be fine. Really, it's a good thing to have a fire here. It'll keep the Zoogles away.
Have you both forgotten what we've come out here to do?
I'll let them relax, Shion. It's good to unwind every now and again.
If you say so.
Shion, could we talk a moment?
I think it's time we go to sleep.
Fair enough. I did my dungeon rant for the day. We got through the wood. Oh. Growing boy. God, they're giving me so much stuff. Recover. Okay, that's useful. Boost strike damage. You'll notice that I'm focusing a lot on the boost gauge and boost strikes and things like that because, yeah. I don't really care so much about the awakenings or even most of the skills if I
Come
can
on,
avoid
guys.
it.
We've got lots to do.
But yeah. Inner level. I think this is a good place to stop for today. Alright. Cool. So I'll see you guys next time. Yay!